You are now listening to the Bluprint Pod. Get ready for another exciting episode, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Bluprint Pod. I am your host, Ray Roots, and today I have the most special guest, and that guest is my co-host and co-founder and friend, Mivisuals. How are you, bro?
It's a nice sentiment, but it makes no sense because I'm not a guest, so shut up. But I'm joking. I'm good. I'm good. You know me. I've been complaining, but I can't complain.
What you been complaining about?
I've been complaining about life, man. So I'm gonna try and avoid that today because today is the season finale. I want to talk about the nice things that have happened during the season and a lot of positive experiences or networks that we've kind of built since we've started. Episode 18.
That's crazy to think about that this is the season finale. This is it for at least a little while, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So 18 episodes since December the 1st, we've dropped every single week, which is, I would say is pretty impressive for us.
I mean, I'm impressed with us.
Yeah.
I knew going into it that we had to be consistent and I expected us to be it, but I didn't expect nothing to go wrong in that regard.
What do you mean?
I didn't expect us to drop 18 episodes in a row. I thought that somewhere along the road we'd miss 1 week or something, but that never happened.
Yeah, I agree. There's always some kind of mishap, some kind of delays, and it's not just the episode, not even the 18 episodes or an episode a week. It's every single Monday we've dropped it. That's every Monday at 4 a.m.
4 a.m.
UK time. Yeah, so that's one thing I'm impressed about because we stuck to that from start to finish.
Yeah,
even the days where you were recording at, I don't know, you said 2 a.m. or something.
Yes,
by yourself. So you still dropped it at 4 a.m. So I'm really proud of that, man. Because we in the beginning when I said we should when we kind of agreed on doing podcasts, I was thinking it's gonna be less maintenance than the videos,
right?
In terms of producing them, finding guests, editing.
That's not true though.
Nah, I'm saying my expectation before we even started, because I remember doing my old podcast. I don't know, it just felt it felt a bit easier. I don't know why.
Yeah,
it felt easier, but maybe it's because my old podcast was about books. I always had a topic to talk about every single week, so it was fixed. So, but with this one, it's we have to think of topics on the go all the time, and find guests that suit those topics. Or if we find a guest first, we have to think of topics that suit the guests.
Yep.
So it's been a lot more difficult than I would say in terms of just the production side of things, in terms of producing the actual podcast itself.
Definitely. The amount of DMs that we've sent and with no replies. I know, at least for me, and I know you've done it too. There's been weeks where the day before we're supposed to record, I'm yo, we don't have anyone, and then someone pops out of nowhere, or we have to do it ourselves. It was a lot more hectic than I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that for sure. And I remember my old podcast, I feel like that was easier too.
It was
way easier.
Why do you feel like that?
No, in my old podcast, I just sat down with my friend and we just talked. We had an idea of what we wanted to talk about, but the contents, I think, with the exception of 1 or 2 episodes, everything was just, all right, this is what we're going to talk about. Let's just sit down and just talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And because I sat across him in the same room and I had good chemistry with him, I think it was so easy. But you and I, we live so far away from each other.
Yeah.
Our chemistry is good. And I think people have told us that as well. But just the fact that we're not in the same room and you can't look at me in the eyes and say, all right, you're handling the production on this episode. Everything has to be coordinated, and we have to go the extra mile to ensure that everything is coordinated and perfect, because we can't just call up as if you live next door to me.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And also, in my old podcast, for example, all my guys were local to me, but I think I was the only one working 9 to 5, so everyone else had time to also chip in with edits. I had a team of 4 at the time, and I was 5. So everyone could edit, and it was easy enough. So I could say, I'm even with that, even in terms of actually appearing on the podcast, if I wasn't available, then the others could just step in without me, and vice versa. But with this one, we've always got to be there, be square. So it's funny, man. But I've enjoyed it so far. Overall, what's your experience of it?
Honestly, it was at first after we started doing the podcast. I don't know if you remember it. I kind of didn't want to do the YouTube thing because I enjoyed this so much.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I think I even said something like we should push the launch date, or we should push uh, videos like twice a month so we can focus on this. And I think you like that was before I uploaded anything. And like I really enjoyed just talking about creative stuff, and then also talking to different types of creatives, like just the sheer difference in personalities that we've had on. Like
Yeah.
we had someone who travels for a living, we have someone who lives in a van and does superhero shoots, and like we had programmers and linguists, and like we have so many different
With
people on.
variety, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, we just tied it up just before we started recording. 11 guests out of 18 episodes, which is pretty impressive because, like, we just started this with no, like, Ray's got, like, he's built up a decent social media following over the years, but he's talked about it before, like, in terms of engagement, you'd like that, to build on that a bit more. And
right.
same for me. And a lot of people, when they start these kind of brands and stuff, they usually have something to like, they usually have a platform to step off on. But with this, it was like it's basically starting from scratch. Which we're still like in the infancy of this whole brand, 4 months in now.
Yeah.
But when you start from scratch, you don't expect to get guests. Like when I'm like reaching out to guests, I'm like I'm trying to always word it in a way that doesn't sound like we just started a podcast, but that's
Yeah.
exactly what we did.
But you have to be honest with them too, so they don't think like we
Yeah.
have 3,000 listeners or something.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, as soon as like the first thing I do is type, I started this podcast recently with my friend, and then I look at that, and I'm like, would I, would I accept that? So I always have to word it in a different way and try and hype them up a bit and give them a little, give them a little smooching.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
been there too.
Yeah, now you started the whole buttering up, boy. You were doing it. You really grinded on that in the beginning. That's I would say, like, in the beginning, you were really buttering guests up differently.
I was
He was
working.
scouting them for a couple of weeks beforehand and interacting with them until he could actually reach out to them. That's a real,
That was my strategy.
Hansel and Gretel with the witch.
Like, yeah, hey
You
bro,
were the-
how's
you
your
were the witch.
grandma? How's your grandma, bro? She good? All right, man, cool. You want to hop on a podcast?
Damn, true story.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? We needed guests on. You know what was funny? Like our podcast kind of, I think it adapted a little bit, because at first we said to each other, we don't want guests every episode. We want it every other episode,
Yeah.
or at least every other episode. But it was just so enjoyable to have people on, and just the amount of knowledge that we gained and the amount of knowledge we could give to other people. It kind of shifted the way that we're doing our podcast.
And it's interesting because a lot of these people are talking about like how they built their careers and telling their stories. Originally, we called it "I Am Legend," the podcast, and that was just like the whole idea of being a legend and becoming a legend. Sorry, and it's interesting because we try to also push productivity stuff on this channel and like habit building and stuff, but when like we've read as much or consumed as much information about productivity and habit building and stuff like that, we kind of reached a point where we're like, we already heard it all.
Right.
But when we like hear it from other people, other guests that have totally like different experiences, and hear how those stories built up in such a way that like they always had a different perspective in terms of how they built their habits and stuff. Like I feel like that's really interesting because it really inspires myself personally. I'm not sure about you, but I'm sure you do.
No, like for one of the things I found very interesting is, when you go to YouTube and they say stuff like 5 things that billionaire CEOs do every day. And like, because of that, I thought that everyone who were successful in their business, I thought that there was going to be like a pattern somewhere, that something that everybody does that we can do too. We can emulate it and then we can be successful. But like, people had like so many different journeys to where they are now. It's just like, you know what, you can make it in so many different ways.
I think for the most part, the lesson I've learned is just to be consistent.
Right, for sure.
Literally, that's the most common thing I've heard from all of them, I would say. Be consistent, be consistent, be consistent. And it makes sense because habit building is about consistency. You can't have a habit without a consistent pattern. So like that's the one thing I would say I've learned from all the different guests we've had.
Oh, for sure.
Mm.
Do you remember the duration we wanted to keep our podcast episode at?
I think 30 to 45 minutes, right?
30 to 45 minutes. How many times do you think we achieved that?
Twice.
And that was the 2 episodes I did alone.
Probably. Yeah, man. So you said that like you wanted to focus more on the podcast in the beginning. That's before we even released anything. Since then, like, what's been your experience then?
Honestly, I've dealt with like creative burnout for a good minute. Like I do right now, I do the Hollywood breakdown videos on YouTube, and doing it is super enjoyable. But sitting down and getting it done, I'm just pushing that to the last minute every single week.
You just dropped the episode 2, so in the last podcast episode, or that you and I were in, even in the last episode that I recorded with my cousin who's a teacher working abroad, I spoke to him about my pattern of work. I confessed that I had recorded on the day of release twice in a row.
I've done that too.
How's it been for you?
I've done that as well. I think I was the one who did it first, right? And I messaged you.
Yeah, you said, then I was like, if Ray can do it.
It's a bad influence.
Yeah, next you're gonna be seeing me recording at 7 p.m. and edit it at 8 p.m. on a Friday.
I'm like trying that day. I remember like trying because I wasn't supposed to record it on the day. I was supposed to record the day before, but all my batteries were dead. All my batteries were dead. I didn't think to check if my batteries had juice in it. I just assumed that they did. And I had to recharge them, and the Sony NPF style batteries that I use for my camera, it just takes forever to charge. Like it just takes so long. So I just decided to push it to the day of release. Yeah. And like I was sitting there at work just trying like, how can I get out of work early? Like, oh damn, I have meetings till 4. How am I supposed to get it done? But like, I don't know, somehow I got it done.
I'm really happy with the consistency side of things. I think both of us would like to be able to produce more high quality things, but obviously with the constraint of time, it's difficult. But I feel like I would personally say you've been achieving that with your Hollywood breakdowns. You've been achieving quite a high quality, like a high quality standard. Even though you say that you do it very quickly and you're pretty much freestyling the whole thing without a script, I feel like you've been putting out a very high quality standard, because I watch other like breakdown videos and stuff. Like I watched the Justice League Snyder Cut last week, and then I watched the breakdown a couple of days ago. I think I sent it to you, and like yours wasn't too dissimilar from that. And I would say yours went into even more detail in terms of you even went into Photoshop and you photoshopped in like a jury audience in the court scene of the when they see us film. Right. And I was impressed with that. I was like, you're even showing how you blurred it out, and like these are all steps that you're taking that's really emphasizing the breakdown. So I enjoyed that personally.
I mean, I like doing videos. I would say now that I'm doing Hollywood breakdowns, I don't get like the amount of joy that I get from doing Hollywood breakdowns. If I look at it from how happy I am from creating that content, if I have to say how I feel about the old content that I used to make about productivity and habit building, I hate that now. Like if you told me to sit down and make a video about building habits or like how to talk to clients or whatever, I would shoot myself in the head. Like I hate that stuff so much, and it bugs me that I haven't started doing this earlier.
Yeah. Would you say you'd ever delete that content?
No, never.
Really?
Never. I still have videos from on my personal channel. I still have videos from like 2011 or 10 or 11. Maybe even going back further to 2009, where I've just made the videos private. I think it's fun to look back at those things.
Would you say you're a nostalgic person?
If a what?
Would you say you're a nostalgic person?
Super nostalgic.
Someone that likes to look back at everything, like the past, the pictures, and all that stuff.
Yes, like I in my camera roll on my phone, I have like 14,000 pictures and videos. And it just goes back to 2013. And on my Dropbox, I have stuff going back to 2009. Like I like to just sit and look at old videos and pictures and even like old tweets and old posts on Instagram and stuff. I love that stuff.
Interesting. Okay, so How would you say it's been going since then? Then, so we started the podcast, we released it, and then let's ignore the videos for now. We'll move back to videos a bit later on. But other than the guests, overall, what's your perception like at the moment of the podcast?
Right now, I'm like right now we're at the season finale, and
Mhm.
I don't think I've been like rarely have I been as proud of myself as I am at this point.
Really?
Just from the fact that we're doing something that a lot of people can't do, and that's producing content that lives up to a certain standard and also is
Mhm.
consistent. Like, and it's not like everything's been easy. It's not like everything's been great, that we've always been available or we've always had time. Like, no, like you had freaking COVID, you know? You had COVID and I got sick and I got
Yeah.
issues to deal with and you had issues to deal with. Like, but we still came through. Like, it didn't matter what it was. I remember dealing with crazy personal issues,
Mhm.
but I was sitting in the middle of my personal issues recording a video for the Bluprint.
Mm.
Like, I just said, you know what, life, time out. I'm going into my room and I'm going to record and I'm going to edit and upload and then I'll return to my problems.
And how did you feel after?
Not good, because I had to return to my problems. You thought I was gonna say
But
something like I felt better or
I
something.
felt
No,
relief.
no, not at all, man. Like, just
All
recording
right.
the video was like a pause from my personal stuff. But then after I finished and uploaded, I was like, here we go, back to my personal issues.
Yeah, I respect that. I respect that. Yeah, in the Blueprint podcast, we try to be honest about how we feel. I
Yeah,
feel like I feel like over the last few episodes, we've been a lot more open as well. Because that's something we said from the beginning. For me, this brand, I want to make it something where we're not showing ourselves off as gurus or people that are perfect, because we're obviously not. And we're both of us are probably beginning to intermediate phases of our career. As much as we'd like to try and deny that, we're professionals, but we're not masters of our craft, and
right.
we're not like well into the industry. So you can't say you're intermediate, can you? Um,
Not really. Not
so
business wise, at least. Maybe skill
exactly.
wise,
Yeah, skill wise, but there's a
knowledge
lot of
wise.
skillful people, out there that aren't
Yeah,
like in those positions that can make money out of their career at a high level because
for sure.
they haven't built up the network or they're lacking something. So, like, that's kind of something that I want to talk about before we even started this podcast. I was like, clout or talent, and for
Yeah, we
me,
never got to that episode.
we kind of touched on it like throughout different episodes, like the Zoo episode, the episode with what's the surname? Episode with SG Posters. We kind of like touched on like just networking and stuff like that, and
Right.
like all these opportunities that fall into place for for those people that seem to be successful. They usually work towards that. It's not just luck. It's not just blind luck.
Nah.
They work towards it in such a way that they're building their network and interacting with people on a genuine level, like engaging in communities and making friends online, as we have between the two of us and other
Right.
people that we also respect. But it's not something like that. Blind luck is gonna get you,
Right. What
But
about
yeah,
you? How do you feel?
so we're ending the season for a reason. Like you touched on burnout a bit earlier on. I've had a few, and I even released an Instagram carousel to do with burnout today. I've dealt with burnouts a lot over the years because I'm someone that's always been a pedal to the metal kind of guy. I'm always someone that drives myself from 0 to 100 and then doesn't stop until I'm physically finished. And I'm always like complaining to someone like Ray or another friend that I need a holiday or something. Like the word "I need a break" like it's kind of strong when you think about it. But I always kind of fall into those habits, and only in the last couple of years I've been trying to break out of that and recognize that a bit more. I talked about in the carousel today that the better thing to do is identify when you're the signs of the burnout first, because that's when you can kind of tackle it head on first. Because if you don't understand when your body is telling you the burnout is coming, the burnout will come and you won't be prepared for it, and then you'll be
Right.
suffering for a while. So now, like, when I feel like signs of burnouts, I try to step away from things a bit quicker. I try to relax a bit more and think about why I want to do things a bit more, and then usually it eases my mind a bit. But sometimes, obviously, you don't have a choice. But yeah, a lot of the time, since we've started this, I've been declining commissions and stuff, but every now and then people have like been smooching me up or buttering me up as Aram does as Ray does to his to the guests, to the point where I can't say no. So I end up saying yes, and then even though we've talked about saying no before, but yeah, I end up saying yes because I just feel bad if I don't. For example, my sister and my mother-in-law both have a fashion business right now, which I'm really proud of them, and I would like to help them in an ideal world. If I could, I'll be the full-time graphic designer or something, but I can't. But they do need help, like video shoots and other things like that, photo shoots. And when I say yes to them, I'm committing out of my heart, but obviously that means that that's a portion of my time that's going to be taken that I'm never going to get back.
Right.
And then also another local community project came up recently. A good friend of mine runs it, and they asked for a video shoot and graphics, and that ended up. So in the beginning, I wasn't even going to take money, but when I saw like how big the project was going to be, I was like, I'm not going to do this without taking money. So eventually, we agreed on a package, but it was still more of a charity thing for me than it was a professional job, you know.
Right.
So like it was a decent amount, but I even brought in a friend to help me with the video shoot that we did. So that ended up being something we split in half. I took most of it, but we split it in between the two of us. So that wasn't barely anything compared to what I would normally charge. So I had to do the video shoot, the editing of the video, the graphics that they wanted for like banners, like a physical banner, a leaflet design, a few graphics that I added into the video, and that was alongside my sister's projects as well, and then obviously the Bluprint and my 9 to 5. Right. So I've been in a constant phase of trying to battle that burnout, and I haven't really had any time for myself since we started. I haven't played any games over the last 2 months, like probably at least a month, I would say, like, which is usually something that helps me relax quite a lot because I've always been quite an avid gamer since I was young. And I haven't like really watched any shows or read any books or consumed much content. So it's just been something that I've been battling with, and I've also been trying to avoid looking at the stats too much. But ultimately, I'm going to look at it at least once a week because I just want to see how we're doing as well. And I would have liked us to be going a lot further than we are. Right. But obviously we're not. So like we have to be smart about how we do things as well. So like currently we are on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube, but we're not on any other platform, I don't think. And all we do on Twitter and Instagram at the moment is carousels and promoting our content. Yeah. So that's just like one piece of value over the whole week. And then obviously the podcast platforms as well. Sorry. So we want to work smart about it. So we're gonna look into branching into different platforms: Instagram Reels, IGTV, TikToks, for example, YouTube Shorts. These are all things that are places that are experiencing growth at the moment. And the reality is we're not doing this for the pure love of it, you know?
Right.
We're doing this because we enjoy it, but we also want to make it a profession or make some money out of it at the end of the day. Help people along the way, of course, as well. But we also want to be realistic about it. We're not going to be struggling artists forever. Right. And we want to get to a point where it is like we invest in our time and our money and everything that we're doing and our energy, and we want to at least break even in all of those things sooner rather than later. So we have to work smart. And the fact is, at the moment, we don't feel like we're tapping it into the appropriate audience for our content anyway. So at the end of the day, if you want to teach people, you got to teach people that want to learn these things. Right. So if we don't have the audience that we have, then we have to find ways to find those people. So we have to try different things and not doing one thing continuously and just hoping that it's going to work out. So we have to try different things and see what sticks. And eventually the things that stick, we keep on continuously progressing. And with the podcast, I enjoy it a lot, man. I find it very nice to just talk about things, especially like these episodes with us since we started the last few episodes. Yeah, we hadn't done that since like episode 2, I think. Like we did episode 1 and 2 together, and then we had guests for I would say like 10 episodes, and with only the ones that you recorded by yourself. since we started. So I think it's a lot more relaxed, but we're still talking about our progress and still talking about creative things and productive things and the lessons we've learned. So hopefully someone will take some lessons from that as well. So yeah, man,
Yeah.
that's pretty much my overall feeling at the moment. So we need to, I wouldn't say cut our losses, because it's not really a loss. It's just,
No,
we
not
just
at
have to
all.
pause it for now and come back to it in the future when we feel like other things are progressing and the world hasn't still stayed in lockdown for this whole time.
Yeah, I mean that's another aspect to consider, that podcasting in general has just gone down the past year and a half because people are working from home. Like for me, there are like two podcasts that I used to listen to all the time, every single day or every single week, depending on when they released. And since lockdown has happened, I don't listen to it. So I'm just gonna assume that other people aren't listening to podcasts either.
Have you not listened to any of them at all?
None. Nope. Maybe like 20
The Miami one.
minutes. Yeah, I haven't listened to it. Maybe like 20 minutes of like an episode, but I haven't listened to anything from start to finish the way that I used to. So I think we just it's not so much about cutting our losses. It's about saying, you know what, right now we want to find our audience, and our audience isn't listening to podcasts as of right now. So we'd rather take that energy and put it into somewhere else.
Exactly.
And then when people start listening to podcasts the same way again, then we can return back to podcasting. And the good thing is that now we've done 18 episodes. So when we start again, we're not starting from scratch.
Yeah.
When people look at it, they can say, oh, you know what? They've been doing this for 18 weeks. So this is a podcast I can trust and a podcast that I can subscribe to, knowing that they'll continue to do it consistently.
Exactly. Every Monday at 4 a.m. When
Yeah.
we start again. But so I got a couple other points that I want to touch on. But would you say that you've had much time for yourself since we started then? And also, we're both married. we got time. We have to have time for our wives and their families as well.
Yes.
And our families.
I would say yes, no, and yes. Yes and no. No, as in I've dedicated most of my free time to this. So I haven't been able to go play basketball as much. I haven't been able to do like creative work just for the sake of doing creative work much. But at the same time, I'm working from home. So like I do have a lot of time. I do have a lot of extra time, because when you're in the office and you go from meeting to meeting, like I don't like, I can take like 30 minutes off from a meeting if I know it's not relevant. Like when you sit in these meetings where like 200 people and nothing they're saying is relevant to you. Well, if you're there in person, you're going to have to be there. But here I could kind of zone out a little bit. I know it sounds wrong, but I can still zone out a little bit and then jump back into it when I feel like or hear something that's related to me. Like I have more time at home, but that's because I'm working from home. I wouldn't say I have more free time.
Interesting. All right, cool. So I have a couple of other questions to do with the podcast since we've started. But one thing that I've tried to make a staple of the podcast is doing different challenges and also having icebreaker questions. So we'll end the season with 3 questions, but we'll try and make them quick as well. Before I touch on the other topics I want to talk about. So number 1, you can have anyone fictional as your imaginary best friend. Who do you choose and why?
Oh, you know what? The first person that came to mind is Deadpool.
Deadpool? What the hell?
I don't know. I didn't get to think about it. It just the first person that came into mind was Deadpool.
It's funny because just before you said that, I thought Iron Man.
Oh, that would have been cool.
That would be cool as hell.
He's dead, so.
Yeah, but he's imaginary.
That's
my
true.
imaginary best friend.
That's true.
He's got personality. He's got jokes. He's got his.
Honestly, probably Loki.
Loki.
Yeah, I love Loki.
He's a bit weirdo, man. Have you like, obviously you live in a Scandinavian country. Have you read up on Norse mythology and stuff?
Nah, not at all.
Some weird stuff, man. Like Loki in Norse mythology, he gets impregnated by a horse or something like that. Like he's got all sorts of weird stories in Norse mythology. Because he's like, obviously in their mythology he's like half giant or something, or full giant. So he's not human or anything. So he's got all sorts of weird, like, I don't know why, but it seems like there's like some kind of focus on impregnation with him.
That's weird. That's really weird. Can I take it back?
I mean, up to you.
I mean, when I said Loki, I just meant the actor in Marvel
the
movies.
Marvel character. I know.
Yeah. Because I really like the way that he's acting. Like as an actor, I think he's great. I think you know what? Who would you pick? Let me think about it for a second.
I mean, I already said Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man.
Damn, that's a cool one.
Yeah.
Why am I thinking superhero? It doesn't have to be superheroes.
Yeah, anyone fictional. Come on, chop. We got two more questions.
Come on. Give me 10 seconds. Let me think.
5, 4, 3, 2.
This is stupid. You ready for it?
Harry Potter.
No, this is even dumber.
Gollum. I don't know. Go ahead.
I'm gonna sing it to you, and then you guess what it is. No, he doesn't sing it. He says it. Okay. Have you seen Finding Nemo?
Ages ago, so I might not remember, but yeah.
There's a shark named Bruce.
Yeah.
Who doesn't eat fish.
What you watched the Seaspiracy documentary, and now your imaginary best friend is shark.
No, I've always found it funny that there's a shark named Bruce who doesn't eat fish.
So what does he eat?
I don't know. Tofu?
Tofu. That was a bad one, but we'll continue.
God.
What was the worst job you ever had?
Worst job I ever had was I worked at a place where we had to call people in Denmark to ask them if they wanted to participate in surveys that they used for mass surveys. So they say, hey, we've talked to 5,000 people about this trend, and this is what the population of Denmark believes. I hated that job.
In a call center.
Yeah, you could say that. And I called someone. This is crazy. I called someone, and she was like, we got this a lot. Like, hey, I don't have time right now. Can you call later? And I was like, all right, cool. And I called back. If I remember it correctly, it was this guy picks up and speaks English with like a British accent. And he says to me, if you call me again, I'm trying to do it in a British accent. If you call me again, I will find you. I'm like, yo, chill. Like, I don't get paid enough to get threats. Like, you dumb.
Have you seen them? That guy on YouTube that finds scammers and like hacks them back and stuff. Yeah, that's the kind of guy you're dealing with, huh?
That's hilarious.
Interesting, but for me, I had a couple in mind, but like one was just really dull, and it had potential to be interesting, but it was really dull and boring. There was this guy that he basically ran like this Lego like robotics company where he did like workshops with kids to like help them build like Lego circuits where they'll build like little robots and stuff.
Yeah.
And I had zero experience in coding, robotics, anything. So these kids knew more than me. And he just randomly put me in a workshop where like he basically gave me a bag of kit. He took me to a school where he was running the workshop, and because he had to go to another school to run another workshop, he just left me there on the first day with no training, no experience. And I had to. This is 4 p.m. after the school finishes for kids, dealing with a bunch of tired kids, just sitting there pretending like I knew what I was talking about in terms of Lego robotics. I'm there asking questions like, "Have you guys done this before?"
Damn, that's rough.
Yeah, and it was literally like 3 hours from like 4 p.m. to 7, and the parents started coming. I was so grateful, man. But that wasn't even the worst job. That was just a weird one. Like, it was so random. I never went back to that innit? But there was another one where I worked in the Chelsea Football Club. But wow. It wasn't as a steward, because like stewards are the guys that like wear the high vis jackets to guide people to the correct seats and stop them from doing stupid stuff. But I was basically working in, what do they call it when you're catering and stuff. So all the food stands, all them stuff, that happen in the stadium, like hot dogs, burgers, all that stuff that people go and buy before the games, at halftime and at the end of games. And it was a Champions League night. I remember it was Chelsea versus PSG. And I was thinking maybe I'll be able to watch a bit of the game as well. But yeah, I ended up working in this little tight hot dog stand. Like, because they were like, "Oh, you're a Muslim, so I'm assuming you don't sell pork and stuff." So I was like, "Cool, I'm happy with that." So I was literally just in this tiny little stall that was really hot, for like 11 hours. I remember it was 11 hours. And I think I had 2 breaks and I didn't know what to do. I was just walking around. I just went to the toilet, like 2 breaks are like 15 minutes in 11 hours. And this is the first day on the job as well. And I was just knackered. Like my feet were just tired the whole time. And like the whole time I was in the store, it's just constantly like people coming up, buying hot dogs and stuff and then walking away. And that was just like 11 hours straight. And I was just like, nah, I'm never, ever doing this again.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah. And it's like, I wasn't in the store by myself. I was sharing it with 4 other people. So you can imagine it was tight. It was like kind of sardines. Talking about Seaspiracy. But yeah, man, I don't know why. But yeah, that was one job. I did that and then I never went back. And you know what how much I ended up getting paid at the end?
You didn't get paid?
No, you know how much I ended up getting paid for that 11 hours?
Well, how much?
£55.
Oh, come on.
So yeah, I was like, yo, I ain't never doing this again because I'm gonna have to. I don't know what that adds up to. If I do like, let's say if I do that on a weekend, like that's 22 hours a week for 88 hours. What is it? 88 hours a month or something. I don't know what that adds up to. Probably £200 or something. I don't know.
That's horrible pay.
Yeah.
What was your most fun job then? Is there pressure on us to say our current?
I mean, we already said our current job, but I don't think there is any pressure. But I would say my most fun job is probably this one because I'm getting paid the most. And I have the most freedom to be able to do other things, but also because I'm working from home and I have a lot of time to do other things.
Right.
In between breaks, like I can, like you said, in meetings where there's like 200 people and you're not going to talk you're probably not going to talk even in the meeting at all.
Right.
So I can go and watch a show. I can go and make food. I can go and eat. Like I can do all sorts. I can play with my pet kitten, which is now chilling with me for the last 4 weeks. So
that's a new addition to the family.
Yeah, new addition to the family. He's brought a lot of life into the house.
Yeah.
I was thinking he's going to start messing around. Because just before I started recording, he was using his cat litter. So I was thinking he's going to mess around. He's going to be playing games or something. My guy went straight to sleep as soon as I started recording.
Oh, there we go. It's a team player.
Yeah, he's a team player. So, yeah, man. Last question. No, actually, what's your favorite job then?
Well, my most comfortable job is my current one.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the job.
Favorite job, you said?
Yeah. Favorite job.
Comfortable.
Favorite job is I was flipping burgers, man. I love that.
What?
Yeah, I know. I'm not kidding, man. I love
Ray the burger flipper roots.
You know why? Because I designed the whole menu.
What?
Yeah, because I had a family member. You didn't know that?
No.
So I had a family member in 2016 reach out to me, and she was like, "Yeah, we're opening up a shop, and like, can you help us design the menu?" I was like, "Do you want me to like do the
actual food or the layout?"
Yeah, I was like, "Do you want me to do layout?" You're like, "No, do the food." I'm like, all right, cool, man. So and like, I'm like, people who know me, they know me for my burgers, right? They know like you're never gonna taste a better burger than the ones that I make.
Interesting.
And I'm saying this knowing that a lot of people have tried it, and every single one has either put it in their top 3 or said it's their favorite.
This is such a shame because the next question is, what's your favorite meal to cook and why? But we'll continue from. Well, after you answer this.
Yes. Well, you'd be surprised by the answer the answer to that question. But so I was in that restaurant and I was flipping burgers like crazy, and I was teaching the staff there how to do the food that I have put on the menu. I was like Gordon Ramsay in like Kitchen Nightmares.
No way.
Like I love that stuff. Even if it wasn't my own menu, dude, I just love being in front of a grill and just making burgers. Like
what I'm surprised about is they came to you saying they want to start a restaurant, but they want you to design the whole menu.
Yes, man. You know, they had a restaurant. They had a restaurant already, but they wanted to change the menu because they had like it was like a small takeaway place, and it had like 140 dishes. And I was like, that's not gonna work, man.
140.
I remember it saying like, you got rice dishes, and they were like, we do. I'm like, it's on your menu. Why are you asking me?
What kind of food was the main then? Like the main foods that they used to sell?
That was like pizza. It was like everything. They did everything. Like they had pizzas, they had pastas, they had steak, they had chicken. They had like
I can't trust a place like that. Nah, you have to have your specialism.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, no. Whenever I go to places and I see like such a variety of foods in their menus. I'm like, this is
Run.
What can I pick here that's gonna be good?
What are the chances of you picking something that they're actually good at making? You got 140 options.
I don't know. I guess I just pick safe things when I see stuff like that. I pick the safest thing.
Yeah, you're boring.
Nah. When it comes to a variety of options in a place that I don't think is gonna like come with the goods, then I pick the safest thing. Bro, I went to like when I was in Malaysia, I went to this Japanese restaurant and I picked the randomest thing on the menu, boy. And oh man, what an experience! I'll have to talk about that another time. But yeah, I mean, basically what happened was it's one of those joints where you cook the food yourself, like they give you the grill and everything.
I hate that.
So I'm there telling my wife, so there was like some duck on the plate, there was like some octopus on the plate, like these tiny little octopuses, and some fish. I don't even remember what fish it was, but
I like before seafood.
Yeah, it was definitely before seafood. I like seafood, innit? I love seafood. And yeah, I was there like I let it cook for a bit because the flame was already on in it and on the grill. So I was thinking, I just let it cook for a bit. And there was also rice in there as well. So I just started like it was still really hot. So I thought I just have to let it cool down or something. So I just like dabbled with the rice a bit, so I just like a couple of like teaspoons of rice, and every now and then I touched on some of the fish that seemed to be cooked already. But then the waiters and stuff, like they were just staring the whole time, and then I was like to my wife, I bet you I'm doing something wrong here, and these guys don't give a crap. Like they just want to laugh about it after, innit? And then after like 10-15 minutes of nothing seeming to change, and all these guys just staring. This Asian lady that actually I think she was one of the waiters, that some older lady, like one of them auntie types, you know, like short, like kind of chubby. She just came, like snatched off the spoon that I was using. I started stirring the food. Started stirring the food. I'm thinking, I knew it. These guys are just staring at me, letting me poison myself. I don't know what salmonella poison that I got, but she was like, "You have to stir it. You have to cook. You have to keep on mixing it." And that was a terrible accent. I don't know why I did that. Sorry to all the Asian listeners out there. But
I hate the restaurants where you have to cook your own food.
Yeah, and then she did that, and after I ate it, I was like, "What the hell? This is actually nice." I don't know what that was. It was just a weird experience, man. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm safe. I would say I'm pretty brave with my selections. I don't like traveling with people that are overly safe. Like I went to Malta once, and then my cousin, all the places to go to took us to some
McDonald's
kebab and burger joint.
Oh my god,
McDonald's would have been better, man.
I hate people who not trying new things.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, man.
What's your last question?
What was your favorite meal to cook and why?
What do you think?
Not seafood grills. I don't know. You tell me.
You know what? Like every time people think they have me figured out, I surprise them because you would have thought I said burgers.
Nah, I didn't. I don't know. I haven't. I feel like some kind of pasta dish.
No.
All right, cool. Go ahead.
I freaking love baking bread.
Okay.
Like I love making bread. It's so therapeutic.
This is the snippet, by the way. I freaking love baking bread.
I love it, bro. Sourdough, just regular schmegular, like whole wheat. Like I just love baking bread, man. Like toss that flour. You know why? Because I sucked before. I couldn't bake anything. Mm-hmm. And like I had to throw so many loaves of bread out or like dough, and I've wasted so much.
That's gonna be annoying.
I've wasted so much energy, time, ingredients, and it's just like now I'm starting to see bread that actually tastes and looks good, and it's just satisfying because now I know like I've overcome one of the things that I was just horrible at. I remember telling my wife, "There's no way I'm not gonna bake a loaf of bread successfully. Like I have to die before I don't do it because I'm gonna keep trying. I'm tired. I'm not gonna let like dough dominate me. I'm not gonna let dough dominate me. I'm gonna be the one. My guy. I'm the one who's gonna be making the bread here. The bread is not gonna make me."
Wow. I feel like you wrote that down. That monologue there.
Hell no. I'm just speaking from the heart. This was one hell of a snippet.
Oh my, interesting. So episode 18, we learned that I keep saying your name today. Ray is a master bread baker. He also loves flipping burgers.
Yes,
Interesting,
sir.
interesting.
You notice like
So
everything I love to do is not related to my job.
yeah. So what's your go-to dip?
Dip?
Yeah, bread dip. Like you must have lips. If you're like making all this bread, what are you eating it with?
I'm giving it away. I'm giving it away.
What?
Yeah, like like I'm not eating, I'm not baking it to eat it. I'm baking it because I think it's fun. I'm just baking so much that there's no way I'm gonna have it all at home.
Man, you a freak. I don't know if I can continue this podcast. This is how it starts. You cooking and you ain't eating.
Nah, like it tastes good, but like I'm a big fan of cream cheese.
Cream cheese.
Just
Yeah, I
plain
agree.
cream cheese.
Mm-mm-mm. Good shot, good shot. But all right, cool. Before like time's running out, so I got a couple of actually relevant questions to ask. My favorite meal to cook and why, like prawn noodles. Like
Damn,
before,
man.
like it's just so quick and easy, and I love prawns, and I actually really enjoy noodles. But what used to do when I was like in college and uni and stuff, like a very quick option obviously being ramen noodles in it. So I used to just like mess around with ramen noodles, do different things with them. Maybe cook some eggs, like some boiled eggs or something, and then throw in some spring onions and do some other things with it. And then yeah, one time I was like, let me just try prawns, and it banged. I thought it was amazing. And then I was like, all right, let me just use some proper noodles this time, like some udon noodles or something. I haven't got to the point where I've made my noodles handmade or anything yet. I feel like that would be really good.
Oh, that'd
But
be nice.
it's fine because I made another dish that's native to my people, gramudo, which is a Somali dish, which is like basically handmade noodles, like mixed with a beef broth, or lamb broth, for example, and it's like it's just really flavorful. I love that's my favorite food of all time. But yeah, that's probably
I,
why I like prawn noodles.
I know for a fact that Seaspiracy destroyed your world.
It has, but I feel like I'll reduce my fish consumption for sure, but I won't totally cut it out. I don't think it's fair on the consumer to have to cut everything out because of
I don't
the
think so either.
mass. Yeah. So yeah, man. There's our favorite meals workshops we've had, and a fictional imaginary friend Steve, Bruce the Shark, for
Yes.
Ray here. Okay, so what's your favorite episode that we've done so far?
I have different answers for this. I can't
No,
give
you're
you
not
one.
allowed.
I
You have
can't
to
give
answer.
you. I can't give you. Okay, I'll
You
give you
have to
one
answer.
answer that includes all of them.
Yes. Okay, go
So
ahead.
I have different favorite episodes for different reasons. I think I'll start with some of the earlier ones. The ones that I did alone, not because I enjoyed making them, because I absolutely
You
hated
trying to
it.
cut ties today, huh?
You
This
know
guy
what? The ones where I
don't need
didn't
food
have
he
you
cooks.
around, I love that episode.
Wow.
Nah, just the reason why I put that in my favorites, it's because I think that was a tipping point for us, where it was a tipping point early on for us, where we said, you know what, it doesn't matter what the hell happens to us, we're gonna get stuff done regardless. So
Mm-hmm.
even though I hated recording it, I hated doing the research for it because I had to do everything alone and I
Mm-hmm.
had to do everything last minute. I hated the process, but now looking back on it, those are my favorite episodes for that reason.
Mm.
Another episode that's my favorite is where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's the one where it's just you and me. The first one that's just you and me. I think it's episode 14, a retrospective episode,
Okay.
because we went pedal to the metal for like what 13, 14 episodes, and then here we got to like just breathe for a minute and say, oh, like let's look back, like what the hell have we been doing for the past 14 weeks? I think that
Yeah.
was really a comfortable episode for us to record.
Mm.
And then I think the last one is, where is it? It's number 11, selling filters to Instagram with Denver. And that's because I was kind of fangirling over the fact that we had Denver on, because I've been
Okay.
a fan of Denver's for years.
So I was going to ask. The next question was which one? Who's your favorite guest that you've had on? So you say
Well,
Denver then.
yes and no. I think Denver was just like, personally, it was just the amount of knowledge that I gained from him benefited me the most. But I think in general, the easiest guest to talk to where it was where it felt the most natural, I would say,
Mm.
is with SG Posters, which was
Mm.
episode 10.
Mm. Cool.
What would you say?
What's your least favorite episode?
Oh wow, we gotta go there.
You have to go there. We're being honest here. And I would say from the perspective of now it's out there, you just like this is your least favorite. Not the process, not the content. Like, what's the one that gives you the impression like when you see that, like, I don't know.
Do I really have to go there?
Yeah, go there.
I mean, I have two that are my least favorite.
Two? Yeah, damn, man. I only just one.
but one of them is the one that I did alone, if it makes sense. It's my favorite, but it's also my least favorite.
Okay, which one is that?
It's episode 6, Adapt or Die.
Yeah.
Just from a sheer content perspective, I don't feel like it lived up to what I wanted it to be.
Interesting.
And it was the first time I was scrambling last minute to get something done. It was the first time I had to do something alone for the brand.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I think that was one of my least favorite. And then the embodying the Superman mentality, I didn't like that episode as much as I thought I would. Not because the content sucked. It's just because the conversation went a totally different direction than I had expected. And it just ended up, all the preparations that I had done for it, it just went out the window because everything that I prepared was answered within like the first 5 minutes. And then the conversation went a different direction. I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, it's interesting because we haven't spoken to any of these people before at all. Apart from I've spoken to Zoo. I've spoken to three of the guests that I've brought on. I've spoken to Zoo in person. I've met him in real life, obviously. Another one was Lazy Panda. I know him. And I've also spoken to obviously my cousin last week and one other guest I don't remember. But yeah, for you, a lot of these guests were totally new to you, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I know Phil from episode 3 personally, and I've spoken to Zoo as well, and also I've spoken to the guys at Lime Studios a few times as well.
Yeah, but yeah, for both of us, a lot of them were first like telephone conversations or voice conversations, and we don't know how they're gonna hold their own. Right. That's a weird way of saying it, but it is a fact for me because it's not a competition. But to make a good episode, everyone in the episode has to hold their own in a balanced way, and that's what makes a podcast worth listening to for me. The hosts have to be able to balance their own personalities with the guests and bring the guests in when it's appropriate and step back when it's appropriate.
Right.
I feel like we've built up a good level of that. Sometimes I feel like I have to still talk a bit too much, but that's just my style in general. I don't think that'll ever change. But yeah, man. In terms of so I understand that I kind of agree because what we do is we have our WhatsApp chat in the background, and every now and then we're sending each other messages in the background saying we're running out of time, or have you got any other questions to ask?
Right.
So we've had to deal with that a lot this season, I would say, but we've learned to deal with it more. I feel like that's been less and less as we've progressed every episode, you know.
Right.
I thought that would be. I thought the thing is, I thought we'll run out of questions to ask as we do more and more guests, because I was like, maybe all the questions or topics we cover, all the guests would have covered them by now. But every episode, everyone's still giving their different perspectives and a different stories. So it's always interesting. So it's funny. So my initial expectation of us running out of content hasn't happened. I feel like we've been able to speak more freely as we've continued.
For sure.
Being a bit more versatile about the kind of guests we have on as well, which is something that I enjoy. My favorite episode of all time will just be very straightforward. I would say I'm not gonna be as grey as Aaron. I'll be as Ray. I'm not gonna be as grey as Ray here. I'll say from a black and white perspective, episode 4 was my favorite episode and had my favorite guest because I've never spoken to a psychotherapist before, and dealing with self-doubt is a big topic. And she just gave so many different solutions and so many different answers, and she's just so easy to talk to as well.
Right, that was a good episode.
So that one and SG Posters might be the episodes where they're the most easy people to talk to from start to finish.
Right.
Like the languages one was good because I felt like he had a lot of passion to talk about
It
learning
was
languages and
cool to
stuff.
talk to. I enjoyed talking to him a lot.
Yeah, exactly. But some guests, like you've got to prompt them a bit and push them a bit, and obviously that some of them aren't comfortable being on podcast. So yeah, this one actually got like Jodie had her own podcast, so I felt like she was very easy to speak to. And
Right.
since then, I've also done another session with her where I kind of talked about my phone call anxiety, and I recorded it for a video that I'm recording, which I said that I would have out in the beginning of March, but it is now April, so I am definitely procrastinating on that.
Yikes.
But yeah, my least favorite. Interesting.
That's a tough one.
I can't.
You have
I
to.
feel like it's the first episode for some reason.
Oh, come on. That's a cop-out.
Nah, I ain't a cop out.
That's
I just
a
feel like
cop-out.
we were feeling our way through things still. Like I don't feel like we were very solid in the first episode. We kind of talked about things, but there wasn't any real content in there.
Come on. Pick another one.
All right, cool.
That's a cop-out.
Okay.
I gotta say, my intro was my favorite. Like, that's a cop-out answer.
All right, cool. I always get onto you about cop-out answers, so I'll think about it here. All right, so episode 3, episode 4.
What a politician.
Episode 6 and 7 because Ray did them by himself. I'm playing episode. I would say episode 15 because because I did kind of waffle a lot about the NFTs thing. I still have a strong opinion about that, but I waffled quite a lot, and I would have liked to have had more time to do more research around that. So I don't like to like I did title it "Explained by a Total Novice," but I still wouldn't like to come across as a total novice when I'm explaining things. It's not fair on the topic itself.
Right.
It's like you're not doing enough research to justify your opinion, you know. And I feel like my opinion is still the same because there's still a huge like carbon footprint around it, and I still feel like it's a huge like trend of just like art collection. Like from an art perspective, I still feel like we can avoid that until like the proof of ownership solutions change in the whole NFT world. So they're saying that they're going to change to a proof of stake model, which will happen in the near future, they expect. But until that happens, there's still the world is still actively being affected.
You know what? I'm going to be the villain today.
Why do you say today?
Well, I'm going to be villain again.
No, you've always been the villain.
I'm going to be the villain again, and I'm going to ask you a question so you can answer it in a way that I wanted you to answer.
Okay, go on.
Who was your least favorite guest?
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. I knew you were going to say that.
Who's your favorite guest? Who's your least favorite guest? Let's go.
I already said Jodie.
Okay, who's your least favorite?
I don't know, man.
I enjoy this.
Let's see.
Yes.
Nah, man, you're telling me it's like who's your least favorite child?
I'd pick one. If I don't like you, I don't like you.
Picked her, but that's the impression you had as soon as we released the episode, and you said that straight away. Yeah. I haven't had one like that. I don't know because I
said that while we were recording. I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you said that like directly after we ended the recording. But I've because I wanted to talk to all these people.
Look at you, politicians here.
But like you can't really get me to answer that.
No, I'll say you don't have to answer it. You could be a hero. I'll be the villain.
Yeah, so I don't know. I wanted to talk to all these people. Like I understand. Like over the years, like I used to be very socially anxious and awkward as well. So I've kind of developed that over the years, like to try and understand that the fact is not everyone's going to have the same conversational style, and you have to be comfortable with awkward silences, and you have to be comfortable with the fact that things might not flow all the time, but you have to find a way to make it flow if you're a podcast host.
Did you really want to talk about color grading?
I wanted, bro. I was just like, this guy said it in filters to Instagram. I want to talk to him. Yeah, why not?
Okay, fair enough. I'm really like I'm pushing for you to say someone was your least favorite.
I would say in parts for the Denver Riddle one, there was like I felt like I wasn't like I'm not a filmmaker, so that part where you're like I'm finally talking to someone where that understands all this. I was like I'm a bit of an outsider here. I even said that in the episode, I think.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, I still felt like we had like pretty good chemistry with him. He's very easy to talk to and relaxed.
It was great.
And, like, like we had some funny icebreaker questions as well. Like we talked about going back in time and stuff. And I confessed about my faux historian side. But yeah, man, I can't say that, so I'm not gonna answer your question. Sorry.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed this podcast. We're gonna wrap it up here. So I enjoyed this podcast. I enjoy hosting it and having different guests on. I really appreciate all the listeners that have been supporting us from start to finish.
Yes.
So yeah, man.
I mean, I do too. When I say it's my least favorite episode, it's not because I didn't like the guest. Like I said, I think it was a cool guest. It's just like the prep that I did was just useless, and then it became harder for me to get it done because I had to wing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. I understand from that perspective. I kind of agree, because when all your plans are thrown out, freestyling is difficult. Especially if you want to make meaningful content.
Right.
So yeah, that's it from me. All my questions asked.
So when do people get to see us or hear us again here?
We'll see. We won't have a specific date in mind at the moment, because we don't want to pressure ourselves. We want to make sure that we come back in an organic way, the same way we launched. We launched with a goal in mind, and we had an idea in mind, and we wanted to just continue it.
Guys, such a politician.
We had ideas in mind. We recorded episodes before we even launched. And then eventually we decided we'll launch on December 1st, 2020. And that worked out for us. I feel like we did a good job.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was a good way of doing it, and I would like to do that again. But hopefully this time when we do return, we'll do it in video format as well. So
yes, sir. I think it's nice to get a little break from this, but I'm looking forward to returning.
Agreed. So yeah, that's it from us. Thank you very much for listening, and yeah, keep an eye out for us on YouTube. Obviously, we're always gonna be there.
We're not taking a break from YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube stays, and yeah, find us on our IGs, Raymond Roots and mi_visuals. So yeah, that's been us. Thank you very much for listening and supporting us from start to here. Thank you to all the guests who came on, if any of them are listening. Hopefully they are, one or two at least. But yeah, man. Keep up the good work from all you guys, all you creatives that are struggling through this pandemic, and stay positive, stay healthy, stay strong, and we'll see you in the next episode of the new season.
Peace. Thank you for listening to the Bluprint Pod. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you tell a friend and stay tuned for the next one. Peace.